humans, sometimes when they get too engrossed in a material thing, sometimes you don't blame them. Maybe they got too engrossed. They need somebody to tap them on the shoulder. Says, hello, you forgot something. Look in the mirror. Do you see all those wrinkles? See how much hair you lost? Start counting, because it's going to catch on to you very quickly, and no plastic surgeon is going to fix you too much. It's not going to work. Maybe 10 years. You can't stop it. The guy knows. Allah says, well, what are you going to do? I didn't make you for this world. I made you for a better world. You are crazy, thinking that what you've got in your hands and the little properties that you own is going to save you. Go and look at Fir'aun. You are nothing. What you own is nothing. Compound what Fir'aun had. And in his arrogance, Allah says, I will teach him a lesson that you, mankind, should listen. And Fir'aun is one of the most mentioned personalities in the Quran. Why? Because the Quran is not a book of stories. It is not a book of science. It's above all of those. It is a book of principles which is timeless, that even scientists need to learn from the Quran. Philosophers need to learn from the Quran. Mathematicians, everybody needs to learn from the Quran. Historians need to learn from the Quran. Quran is not a book of history. Inshallah, we'll talk about that. But I want to make a point here, that Allah has gifted us so much, but we also realize that this gift is time sensitive. It's finite. It's like an exam. The teacher says, you pass this one, I'll give you something better. It's time sensitive. Time sensitive means what? Teacher says 1 hour. You do this in 1 hour, we'll talk. Allah has given us a lifetime. The interesting fact is Allah has hidden when this life ends. See, the teacher tells you 1 hour. Allah doesn't. So now the exam actually becomes even more difficult, because you don't know when you're going to go. So you can't be planning for tomorrow. Now. Inshallah, tomorrow I'll give my charity. Yeah? You're sure you're going to live tomorrow? I'm healthy. Yeah? You've seen healthy people sometimes? A little insect crawls up to them. A few hours later, they're in the hospital and they're dead. I witnessed here myself when I was young, a good example. And I'm sure some of you witnessed this. I was in Aga Khan hospital visiting somebody, and one of the Hindus was visiting somebody else, and he was coming down the stairs, and he tripped. And I witnessed him falling, and he died. They took his body in the room. The wife comes out, they tell her the bad news, and the place was a wailing place. Everybody was screaming. I walked in as a young child, and I looked in the door, and it still sits very clear in my mind, vision. That man, did he know when I looked at his clothes, I said, when he put that shirt on, did he know he's coming to his death? No. That woman, his wife, when she went with him to the hospital, did she know she's coming to his funeral? No. Do you and I know? No. See? Allah says, إن الله عنده علم الساعة وينزل الغيث ويعلم ما في الأرحام وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت إن الله عليم خبير. Look how Allah ends Surah Luqman. He says the knowledge of time is with Allah. He brings rain when He wants. Meteorologists can tell you that there's a high chance of rain, but no meteorologist can control the movement of clouds. He can see the clouds coming. He can tell you tomorrow it will rain. Allah is merciful. He's given us that ability, so at least we can plan our strategies. We can plan our vacations. We can plan our picnics. Allah is merciful. But no meteorologist can tell you, you want rain? Sure, we'll move the clouds a few degrees this way, and that way we'll bring it down to you. وَيُنَزِّلُ الْغَيْثِ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي الْأَرْحَامِ. And He knows what is in your bellies. وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ مَاذَا تَكْسِبُ غَدًا. No self knows what it will earn tomorrow. So true. Ask the richest man in the world. Ask the poorest man in the world. Today the poorest man can be very wealthy tomorrow. Today a very rich man can be very poor tomorrow. Everybody tells you. Many years back says, the #1 rich man in this country is this man. I said, oh really? You come there next time, now things have changed. The number one rich man is that man. I said, oh, how quickly the numbers change. How quickly it goes up and down, huh? Mr. Number 1 today, Mr. Number 10 tomorrow, maybe Mr. Bankruptcy the day after. وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ مَاذَا تَكْسِبُ غَدًا. And a human being, when he recognizes that, he realizes that all this that Allah has given him are gifts, but they are time sensitive. If they are not used properly in their proper place, it becomes an anathema, it becomes a curse upon this individual. It will hold him liable, like Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam has mentioned. He says this wealth that an individual possesses is a great gift of Allah, but if he holds on to it, it's a liability. When he leaves this world, he's going to be held accountable for it while others are using it. That's a tragedy, you know, when someone calls you to account for your money, but someone else is using it. That's a double tragedy. One, you lost it. Number two, you have to account for it while somebody else is using it. What's going on? It's a liability. He said, use it properly so that when somebody else uses it, you get thawab jari. Now that's a good investment. But does it happen in the world these days? I mean, examine the global scenario today, we'll find a diametric opposition to this reality. Why? I believe firmly that insan has not reflected on their own existence, and they really think they are objects of accident, or they have Allah in their pocket. A'udhu billah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. No human being can dare to abuse this reality unless and until this person is a major gambler. Gambler with his own life, I mean. Where the guy is going to say, okay, I know it's true. Yeah, it's convincing. But give me one more day. You're a gambler. You don't know when death is going to take you. And Allah says, وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ. No self knows on which land it will die. Do you know? I don't know. That's a great gift of Allah, not knowing. If Allah was to tell us, our lives would become treacherous. It would debilitate us if we think about it. But Allah is merciful. He's hidden it. Not because to make it difficult for us. It's to make it easy for us. He has hidden it. But Allah is warning us that when it catches you, قُلْ إِنَّ الْمَوْتَ الَّذِي تَفِرُّونَ مِنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مُلَاقِيكُم. It will meet you whether you like it or not. ثُمَّ تُرَدُّونَ إِلَىٰ عَالِمِ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ. He will tell you what you've done. إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning me. This presentation today, my brothers and sisters, is just a foundation on Tawheed. The most fundamental discussion we all need to indulge in is Tawheed. Allah. Oneness of Allah. What does it mean? Why do I need to talk about oneness of Allah?